is a constant conversation in the National Football League about a rookie quarterback and is he drafted into the right situation? And it doesn't matter, 6th round, 7th round, whatever round, or first overall, you've got to be drafted into the right situation. C.J. Stroud last night, look at him. He is just an absolute unicorn that is just flying. And he was left on the board for the Texans because the Carolina Panthers traded all the way up and chose Bryce Young, who we saw in week 1 and week 2 regress from last year's disappointing season that was so disappointing it left the Bears with the first overall pick that Carolina sent to Chicago to draft Bryce Young. And now we're watching Caleb Williams come out of the box, not looking like Mahomes right off the bat. And once again, that is C.J. Stroud's fault because I think he's spoiled a lot of fan bases the way he looks.
Yeah,
right?
he ruined the curve. He ruined the bell curve.
In the same way that Roethlisberger did years and years and years ago.
100%.
When he looked so great for the Steelers coming out of the box. And we had Daniel Jeremiah, who calls Chargers games on Chargers radio on the show in hour 1, and I asked him about Bryce Young, who the Chargers just ate up, chewed up, and spat out yesterday. And he said he's missing throws that even high schoolers make. That's how he has regressed. Well, clearly the Panthers have seen this, and Dave Canales, the head coach of the Panthers, the new head coach of the Panthers, who yesterday said Bryce Young is our quarterback. When he was asked if he was going to bench him, that was his answer. When he asked him if he was going to actually take him out of the game at some point for Andy Dalton in the loss of the Chargers, he answered Bryce Young's our quarterback. Well, he may still be, but he's not the starter anymore. He just announced he's benched. And Tom Pelissero, who's tweeted this out, is going to be joining us in about 8 minutes' time. Said it's Andy Dalton. And we'll ask Tom for how long is his sense of that. Because they're the way Bryce Young has looked, they were not sending him on that field in week 3 against the Condor. Max Crosby coming off of a 2-sack, 4-tackle for loss appearance in Baltimore against Lamar Jackson. They just beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in their house. Could you imagine sending Bambi into Vegas like that? And again, it is about the system and the situation in which somebody gets drafted. You could go nature versus nurture all you want in the NFL. And that is what I will counsel here. The kid was great in Alabama. The SEC is no wallflower conference. A lot of the people that I'm sure Bryce Young has been made to look like a high schooler that he's playing against right now, he played against in the SEC, or they came from the SEC.
Yeah, or his teammates.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so he comes into the league. Frank Reich is in love with him, or Frank Reich was told to draft him. We'll never know this sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden, he's gone, and he's got an interim head coach in year 1, and then a new head coach in year 2 who's never been a head coach anywhere. Dave Tepper hired Dave Canales off of what he did for Geno Smith as an assistant in Seattle and off of what he did for Baker Mayfield in Tampa as an assistant in Tampa. And now, 2 games in, it's been such an unmitigated disaster that they have to tell Bryce Young, take a beat. And it's going to be Andy Dalton in Vegas for Carolina. And then that means Andy Dalton in week 4 is going to take on Cincinnati. That's of interest. At Chicago. We're not going to see Bryce versus Caleb. I imagine they're not going to throw him back in there for that one. He's going to have to take a beat.
Andy's 2 former teams.
Man.
Revenge games.
Yeah, right. Well, and there's Dallas in week 15. I guess it's a problem if Dalton's still starting then. Saints also. It's the Andy Dalton tour.
Andy Dalton might be the starter the rest of the year.
I don't think so. I can't imagine that.
If they start winning games?
They have to. But that's not the point. The point is that you have to rehabilitate your first overall pick. You're not just going to toss him.
The point is to win games.
It is, but you also have to win games for a long term. And you can't just make that entire move and then just move on from Bryce Young.
Not move on, but maybe he needs...
What if they go 4-0 their next 4?
Great. Congratulations. Then Bryce Young's going to have to play again, gents. That is happening. The question is when, but right now he is benched.
This is striking me similar to the Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers situation that was in place last year before Aaron got injured. A guy thoroughly overmatched and underprepared.
So let's get the veteran in there.
Let's get the veteran there to smooth the sails a little bit.
Yeah, but I guess,
and learn
but
by watching.
The Jets just drafted him. They didn't trade all of the draft capital for him and then chose him over.
Well, that's playing the result a little bit.
No, but you have to play the result.
You still believe in this guy, but he's just overmatched right now. Sit back and learn. Watch Andy play.
Which is correct, but for the rest of the year. So now
in year three, if they're winning games.
So now in year 3, he comes in. So what? So they're 9-7, and they get a draft choice that's of a middle of the road first rounder.
But why not? Jordan Love didn't play until his 3rd or 4th year. I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
This is a first overall selection that the organization traded a mint for. And,
but that's not Bryce Young's fault.
And I understand that. But that's the nature versus nurture. This is the organization. He was drafted into an organization that traded a mint for him, owned by a team with a guy with a quick ass trigger finger.
Yeah.
All right. And at least they let Dave Canales bench him. And we'll see what happens. But I have to think Bryce you got to see him again this year. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.